If you're worried that you don't know enough music theory to make great music, just watch this. In this video, I'm going to show you what you should focus on instead of traditional music theory, and the modern tools and shortcuts available to today's artists that make the old way irrelevant. Music making technology has developed rapidly in the last 3 to 5 years. Staying ahead of the curve will not only help you reach your goals faster, but also gives you a leg up on whatever future developments and new age tools come our way. With that said, there are still 3 basic lessons all successful music producers must learn first. Now let's start with the number one thing you need to be a master of if you want anyone to dance to your music. Ever encountered someone with 2 left feet? They dance chaotically because there is no repeating pattern. The truth is that most music has 4 beats of 4, and you count this by counting to 4 over and over. The speed at which you're counting is the beats per minute, or BPM, and 99% of songs have a BPM that they follow for the entire song. So this is why the first thing you need to understand is timing, and to understand your song's BPM. Now for steps 2 and 3, I've built an interactive music theory cheat sheet that's helped me finish songs without being held back by music theory. And if you want access to this, as well as over 30 Ableton project files based on songs from the Beatport Top 100 charts, just visit the link that's on screen now or the link in the description. With that said, let's jump into this cheat sheet. Step 2 is a pretty simple idea that most of you probably understand, and that's when you are selecting what notes you're going to be playing, whether it's your bass line or your chords or your lead or anything like that. Instead of just picking notes randomly, it's important to choose a scale and then stay within that scale. So I won't go over this too much because I think most people watching this channel are a little bit more advanced. But so for example, instead of randomly clicking anything, you might be in the C minor scale. And then what this does is limits the notes that you play so that it's going to sound pleasing. And it's really useful. It's going to make sure your stuff doesn't sound all like wonky and crappy. And there's things like in the new, I'm not sure which version of Ableton added this, but you can set the scale at the top of the project. And then anytime you're working within a piano roll or anything like that, it will highlight the notes of that scale to make things a little bit easier, which is what a big part of like this stuff that I'm teaching on this channel is all about. It's not about super scientific, deep explanations of everything. It's using modern tools as shortcuts. So you don't have to spend 5 years studying classical music theory to make a song. You can jump into it a lot quickly by grasping some of these principles. So that really is step 2, making sure you're playing harmonically by moving within a scale. Now for step 3, it's going to get a little bit more advanced. And again, bear with me. I'm not one of the YouTube scientists out here. And I'm kind of an idiot. So I'm going to try to explain this concept the best that I can. So when you're working within a scale, it does limit the notes that you're playing. And there's something called the circle of fifths that actually opens that up quite a bit. So this is really used a lot in DJing, and that's kind of the story I want to show you to explain it. So say that you are DJing a song, and the song is in A minor. If you wanted to harmonically mix, so let's say you wanted to play another song, and you wanted it to blend nicely because they're playing the same notes, you would probably understand that the second song, you'd want it to also be in A minor. They share the same notes, and it's going to sound pleasant while you're mixing them together and blending them together and moving into the next track. However, with DJing, and the same way I guess with really making music, this really limits the availability of tracks that you can choose, right? So if you're DJing and you're stuck in A minor and you can only choose songs in A minor, it really limits your choices. It's not going to be as awesome for the crowd. It's limiting and weird as a DJ, and it would be kind of useless almost in a way. And what would be the point of limiting yourself like that? But something with the circle of fifths that's really cool is, say if you're playing in A minor, this actually presents the opportunity when you're looking at a chart like this and you understand a chart like this to play songs in a bunch of different keys that are related. So one of the first ones here is like, say you're playing in A minor, you can actually play a song in C major. So I think something I should explain here is everything on this middle area here is A minor, like these are all minor keys, and everything above here on this outer ring, these are major keys. So when you're playing something in A minor, you can actually also play something in C major, and this is because they actually share the same notes. A minor is the relative minor of C, and C major is the relative major of A minor. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you this. So something I have set up here to kind of explain this also is, let's say you're in A minor. We're going to go ahead here and we'll check A minor. And you can see here, this is the notes of A minor. So this little star is the starting point of the scale. So it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. When you're learning piano, A minor and C major are some of the easiest notes to play because it's just all the white keys. And that really is the secret right there. So if you look here, I've set this up so that when you choose a key, it's all automatically going to show you the relative major or minor of that key. And so if we look at A minor, it's all white keys and it starts on A. C major is all white keys and it starts on C. So they actually share the exact same notes, like the major and the minor and the relative major. It's just the starting note that is the difference. So if we look at like or if we look at like F sharp minor, you'll notice that, look, it's actually the same keys lit up. It's just there's a difference here. So F sharp minor here, right? F sharp minor. The relative major is A major. So we can see it automatically F sharp minor, A major. And we can see the notes are the same. It's just F sharp minor, starts on F, F sharp. And then for the A major, it's the same notes, just it starts on A. So that's a really useful technique, particularly if you're doing things like working with remixes or you're finding samples on Splice or you're working with an artist that's working in a specific key. For example, if the sample or the hook was in C major, let's have a look. Like here, let's go C major. You would automatically assume, like if you tried to do C minor, if we tried to C minor here, the notes are different and it won't work. And maybe some of these notes in the C major key that they're singing is going to conflict a lot with the bass line that you wrote in C minor. And you're like, okay, that's not going to work. But what you actually can do is write your track in A minor, and that C major hook will now work over top of that. So I hope that makes sense. Working with these relative majors and minors has been really, really impactful for me to like open up the options when you're working with tracks and work through things a lot more methodically and strategically. So coming back over to the circle of fifths here, we understand that if you're in a minor, you can jump up to the relative major at any point. So B minor would be D major. C minor would be E flat major. Something that's also pretty interesting and that's really, really awesome when you're DJing, called harmonic mixing, when you're mixing all these keys that have a relationship. Say when you're in A minor, you can actually jump up to songs in E minor and you can jump up to songs in B minor. And when you're DJing, moving from the right like that is generally a way that tends to increase energy levels. So you're kind of building up more energy as you're moving across to the right. And you can apply that to making music as well. So if you're working with something in A minor, you might be able to add something in E minor or B minor to increase energy. Just a thought there. Because you can also go, just like you can go up to, I don't know why, there's a music theory scientist reason, but you can only go down one. So if you're in A minor, you can also play D minor, and this might somewhat lower the energy a little bit. So you want to keep that in mind. But basically the idea is here, whenever you're working on a track, say in a minor key, you can always go up by 2, down by 1, and then across by 1. So if you were in G sharp minor, you can go up to E flat minor, up to B flat minor, as well as down to C sharp minor, and then across to B major. And then the same thing is with the majors. Say if you're on C, you can go up to G and D, as well as down to F, and then you can go across to A minor. So I hope that explains things a bit, and that kind of goes over what I think is the main core ideas of music theory. You need to know like the beats and that 4 bars go into a beat, and most things have that count of 4. That's super important to get right. Then you want to also know that you want to play songs within a specific key so that it sounds, pleasant and doesn't sound like crap. And then you can take things to the next level by also knowing about the circle of fifths, opening up some of the relationships, particularly when you're, I think in electronic music, when you're working with a source that's in one key and a sample that's in another key, those kinds of things, you can find relationships and find common ground. So something that you might do is, you might notice that the song is in A minor, and you might want to just pitch that track up or down to hit the hook that you have. Sometimes it might make sense to, instead of like pitching it up way too much or way too lower, you might be able to find a relative key to change the hook into to find that. Let me know if some of this stuff is making sense. What I'm trying to really get into is the core music theory things that I'm thinking of whenever I'm trying to build tracks out. Because there are some, you can use these tools to find relationships between samples and mashups and remix ideas and all sorts of ideas. And it opens up a lot more options that you might originally think that you had available to you. So what I want to make available to is, this is really cool. So I'm not going to make this totally available for free. You can screenshot this or whatever you want, or find your own circle of fifths. If you're a paying member, so you also get access to like the weekly Beatport top 100 songs that I'm remaking and all those extra cool tools that I'm adding. This is going to be added as well for this week. You'll get access to this theory chart. I'm also going to put that into a lot of the project file pages as well. Lots of cool upgrades coming. But the main thing I want you to think of is those 3 ideas, making sure you understand like beats and timing, make sure you understand notes and staying in within a scale, and then looking into this like expansion of that idea with the circle of fifths. Particularly with electronic music, look up some stuff called the harmonic mixing if you're not familiar with it. In the DJing world, this is a really cool parallel where there's a lot of reasons that when you DJ, you're going to improve as a producer. This is a very specific, really awesome, mind-blowing to me at least, illustration of that. So probably the thing you might want to look into more is the circle of fifths, because I don't know how well I explained that. I did my best. If you're more of a scientific kind of, person, I'm not. So I don't really care why it makes sense that you can move up and why you can move up and why you can move down. I don't care about that. I just know it works and I'm applying it to my music so I can work faster and smarter. If you are someone like that, and I know everyone's different, just look up, circle of fifths online, like find your own resource for that. My purpose of this video is to give you the shortcut and give you a different philosophy on how you can apply some of this theory stuff to your music. So now you should know what to focus on instead of traditional music theory. And you also now have some modern tools and shortcuts that really make the old way of doing things irrelevant. Now, if you want to save time by downloading the template in this video, there's a link in the description and on screen now to grab not only that, but also over 30 full Ableton project files based on tracks from the Beatport Top 100 charts, with new files being added weekly. Seeing in detail how professional songs are composed, mixed, mastered, and structured is one of the best ways to fast track your productions to a quality level of the pros. If you're not quite ready for that and want to learn more right here on YouTube first, check out this completely free playlist of videos that will reveal innovative new ways to finish pro-level songs faster than any other way that you've tried before.